Welcome to Borderline Furniture Project 22. I'm Mara, and this is the Unique Antique Challenge Dining Room on a Dime. This is hosted by the Krafty Creech DIYs and Furniture Flips and co-hosted by Reinvented by Maria. For this challenge, I'll be converting this entertainment center into a pantry. The rules for this challenge are you have to use something that's already in your furniture stash. So that limits you. You can't go out and buy something new. So for me, I had several dressers, and then I had this entertainment center. So I figure a pantry is sort of dining room-ish. So this is my entry. Although this entertainment center has some bumps and scratches, overall it's in pretty good shape. I'll be adding some paint and trim to give this entertainment center a new Mexico Chic look. First I remove the doors and then the hardware. I'm getting the surfaces ready for the next step. The drawer pull trim wouldn't budge, so I got out the oscillating cutter and found out that it was attached with 3 tiny nails. I'm cleaning the surface of these doors to remove grime and furniture polish prior to sanding. I'm removing the finish from the center drawer fronts and the sides of the cabinet so I can create a decorative paint panel. First I'll start with the paint wash. Oh, and since the side panels are flat, I'll be adding trim for a more defined look. While these are drying, I'm turning my attention to stain. I wasn't able to use any of the stains that I currently have on hand, and I could not find a close stain match at Home Depot. So I'm using 2 applications. First, a water-based, followed by an oil-based gel stain. The pieces I'm working on are the trim pieces for the cabinet sides and the drawer. Well, Oakley has other ideas about how I should be spending my time. But right now, I'm going to replace the back of this cabinet because of the TV cutout. I'll just be using the old back as a template for the new one. While I'm getting set up to cut, I see this wagging tail. Oakley loves to hide the ball under my sawhorses, but pardon us for a moment while she gets confined to a safer space. With Oakley safely locked in the house, it's time to cut and stain this back piece. I'm using the same stain technique as the trim. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, I'm a big fan of pre-stain, but I didn't use pre-stain for this project, probably because I just didn't think about it until after it was done. It's probably a good thing I didn't think about using pre-stain because the kind of pre-stain that I have is for oil-based stain, which would not have gone well with the water-based bottom coat. And as you'll see as we near the end of this section, that I got a pretty good color match and not a lot of splotching. I finally found a use for this 3/4 inch plywood that I've had in my garage for quite a while. I got it from the 70% off rack at Home Depot. I've had this edge banding left over from Project 17 and also this handy bandit cutter. I'm going to use the same stain techniques that I did for the shelves and the trim. So here's my latest handy tool that I purchased from Amazon. It's the Cabinet Mate, and it makes pinholes for shelves, and it can also do alignment holes for hinges. I'm working in close quarters, so I taped the tool to the cabinet, and then I also taped over the holes that I didn't need so that I didn't accidentally put a drill hole where I didn't want one. The Cabinet Mate includes the drill that is spring-loaded and set to the correct depth for my pins. For the top shelf, I just use a scrap board to position the template to the correct height. And now for the drawer fronts. I used my silhouette cutter to create the stencils, and the colors came from my extensive collection of Oops paint. At this point, I thought I was just a few hours from completing this project. I only had to install the trim, paint the stripes, and then install the doors with the hardware. But this took all morning and into late afternoon. Working into dark usually means plenty of mosquito bites. We have drought conditions in North Texas, but they still manage to survive. I want to point out that I pre-drilled the trim before installing the nails to prevent it from splitting. Well, I continue to have really good luck with stenciling. I think the game changer was the paper burnishing tool, which can be found in the drawing section at Hobby Lobby. And then I also have really good luck using the little sponges, which I got from Michael's. Oh, and before I forget, here's how I applied the embossed leather to the drawer fronts. I'm just using Titebond glue here, and then for the trim, I just pre-drilled it and then put the nails in. It worked great. Installing these doors by myself wasn't the best idea ever. I almost dropped them a couple of times. But here we are. We're at my favorite part, installing the hardware and getting ready for the final reveal. Here's a breakdown of my resources. I thrifted the cabinet for $20. The trim and the stain and leather were all purchased. I had the wood for the shelves, but I did pay $24 for it, and I also had the paint and the hardware. Just a reminder, here's where we started, and here is the new Mexico Chic pantry. As we're nearing the end of this video, I want to thank Krystal from the Krafty Creech and co-host Maria from Reinvented by Maria. This was a really super fun challenge. I want to remind everybody about the playlist in the description below, but also there'll be a link at the very end of this video. I enjoy reading all of your comments. If you like, please subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.